Hi, and welcome to the conversation. I'm your co-host, Alistair Sampson. With us tonight, we have Christopher Crossley, aka Mr. Crossley, so aka the gentleman himself. And also tonight with us, we have Micaiah Wilson, aka Mr. Fit, aka Mr. Fit X Studio himself. How you fellas going tonight?
Good.
Everybody all right? Great,
Yeah,
great,
man.
great.
Yeah,
All
man.
right,
Good night, everybody. Can't complain. Can't complain.
great. Good to see you all tonight, man. Before we get into the program itself, we like to do it like this. We have our COVID check-in with Christopher Crossley. As I say, Christopher Crossley's COVID check-in brought to you by the letter C. So the show is yours, man.
Well, it's all good. Well, I do hope everybody had a great day. I know there's a lot of rain in some areas. Some people experienced some flooding. So I hope everybody is safe. And if you're not
Yes.
home yet, at least on your way home. All right. So please do get there within the next 2 hours. All right.
True,
We
true.
don't want anybody outside for the curfew. All right. So, guys, as usual with the COVID check-in, and like I say, this is always about us, not really about our business per se. But how have you guys been over the last week since our last episode? With everything dealing with with COVID, your lifestyle, and everything that's been going on. How have you guys been?
Well,
To me,
big adjustment.
yeah,
Big adjustment. I mean, we have seen where certain restrictions have been relaxed within Trinidad and Tobago, and some places have started opening up. I mean, within limits, some places
Right.
have begun opening up, and that includes a couple of the business that we have in San Juan as well too, in terms of persons and clients coming in now, etc. But still, we still have to be very vigilant, definitely within that time. Just because businesses open up doesn't mean that everything is just laxed. We still have to
Right.
make sure that we stay as vigilant as possible with respect to that. Again, still working from home, liking every minute of it. I
Of
have no
course.
regrets with that whatsoever. So it's just all good with respect to that. What about you, Mike?
honestly, it's been like I also said, with the COVID restriction being changed, it did present not a challenge but a change again now. So there's some micro adjustments and we had to kind of push forward some stuff we're working on, but I think I'm in a really good place. We had a little vacation, a little time away, so that was really good for us and helped to kind of get some moments. Sometimes you need that a lot, especially in these
Yeah.
times. So just kind of lock away and have some fun and just lay back a bit before you get back to work. So yeah, I'm pretty good right now.
The rest time I should try that, boy.
You know that, right? You
Oh
know that, right?
boy. Yeah.
I don't know if my definition of fun is the same as you all, because for me, um, fun is probably getting to sleep, what I mean? Because right about
Yeah.
now, the
Yep.
grind continues regardless for me. But I would say in the last week, I've just been having more heart-to-heart conversations with myself, in regards to how I actually function and doing work and doing certain things, and admitting, hey, during the day, you know what, Chris, you're not feeling like doing nothing. Don't do nothing. All right, you're not on the clock as before, with
Yeah.
somebody watching to see what you're doing. So remember that you make your schedule now and not the other way around, right? So for me, it has been, like I said, I always like having those conversations with myself and seeing, how I could improve in any way that would better my function, be more productive, be more efficient. So that has always been the thing for me. So within the last week, I would say, yeah, I've always just been staying on myself and pushing towards the better me, or the better version of me, daily. And we're talking about in the leap tonight. So, are we coming off of last week's episode where we was talking about, preparing yourself for next year. So in that
Yeah.
preparation, at some point, you do have to decide to take the leap, right? Just like, we will discuss different ways you need to prepare yourself. There are different ways you also need to prepare your business. And of course, like I said, at some point, you have to go from planning into implementing, and a lot of people have that problems. So what I will start off with tonight, guys, when it comes to yourselves, when you were actually making shifts, whether it is in your business or even to say, I know even for you, Alistair, may have been, working towards certain types of promotion and the job and stuff like that. What was some key factors at the time for you personally in being prepared to leap to the next stage you were at? Michael, I'll let you go first.
When it comes to making the leap, I think there are two main things to me that were really critical. And that I will say, I'll kind of give an example of before when I was in the corporate world, as well as when I made the choice to then go on my own. And even with the rebranding, like all those things were different leaps at different points in time.
Right.
So sometimes people think that it's just one big leap and that's it. But every stage of your life, as you want progress, there is some type of leap that has to be taken. And we shouldn't expect that it's just one time and you're done. And it doesn't always get easier. You just know what to expect a bit more. Right? So the first thing I think for any leap that you need to make in any position is always setting the intention. Meaning knowing why you're making that leap. And it being your choice rather than because somebody else is going to do it too. True. You know what I mean? Other times, like I remember when I left my corporate job, there were two people I wanted to follow, and I said, where you leaving to do? Where's the purpose?
Yeah.
I think I could do a business. I'm like, all right, but is there a plan? Is the business currently operational? Do you have an estate put away to at least buffer for a couple of months? What's going on?
Correct.
And the intention behind it was to just, in a sense, go with the trend and not to fulfill a purpose or fulfill a need or fulfill a goal or whatnot. So it's simply just to follow. And I think that sometimes puts us in a dangerous position because we end up getting into something that we're not ready for.
Correct.
Right? So for me, that's number one. Like, the intention of why am I making this move? Even when it was to go for a different position in my corporate job, it was, why am I going for that? Is it just to have a title? Something a title will come with more stress and less money or a little bit of money difference, and it doesn't really make sense.
Right.
So I had to set the intention every time for what was the purpose behind what I'm doing. Even with the rebranding of Mantle Factory 101 to Fitex Studio, there was a big intention behind that. There was a big purpose behind it. It wasn't simply because the name sounded cool. Some people was asking me recently, like, you like this name more, you like that name more? I was like, it's not even about the name. It's about the intention behind why the rebranding was done. So, and that was nerve-wracking for me because since I left my corporate job, Mantle Factory 101 was who I am. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a leap, a big change in identity as well, from a business perspective. And it had to be thought out properly, and the intention had to be set as to, it's not just being done to look good. It's not just being done to look fresh. It's not just being done to be trendy,
Yeah.
But there's a purpose and an intention behind why it's being done. And I think if I have to give one main thing, it'll be that. Have an intention before you leap. Don't just say, well, everybody jump in, so I go jump too. Your parents always said, if your friend jump off a bridge, you can jump off too.
You jump off too. True.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my number one thing. My number one rule for leaping. Set your intentions.
Love it. Alistair, what about you?
I think from my perspective, I took a little bit of the harder road with respect to making that leap. And it was something that I had learned a few years ago. Unfortunately, I didn't learn it sooner. And it's the whole point about, just waiting for perfection to happen and just waiting for someone to open the door for you instead of you going towards the door. That was a big problem that I had some years ago. And because of that, with respect to skills and everything, I just stayed with my skills that I had there. I became very good with those skills. But the thought process, the true thought process is that if it is that you need to go to the next level, it's not the same skills that you have right now is going to take you to that level. All right. And as a result of that, I was in the corporate area, I was passed up with respect to moving up the ladder. And I had to go and do certain trainings that I never did before. It was new. It felt uncomfortable. And I needed to make those steps to be able to do that. And that was the first point. The second point that I did as well was to dial back down chasing for perfection. Because a lot of times we try to... Now, it have two different extremes when it comes to taking the jump. One is jumping off the cliff and hoping they grow wings while they're falling. And then the next extreme is staying there on the cliff, trying to make sure that your wings strong. It is strong enough. It's not at 100%. Now I can make the leap until I already feel it's 100%. Both cases have its course behind it. And we just have to be very mindful of that and be very careful of that, because time is one thing that doesn't stay still. Right? And that will just continue just moving forward, and you could either jump off the cliff and hope for wings to grow and beat up yourself around the rocks, or stay on the top of the cliff waiting for your wings to be perfect. In both cases, you're not going to benefit from it at all. Alright? And we just have to be really careful about that in terms of making that leap and taking that step forward. You know?
Correct. And I mean, I like those 2 points, especially with setting your intentions before you make that choice to go. And just as you mentioned, the internal battle of waiting for that perfection to happen before you actually make the move. And we know the fact is there's never truly a perfect time, right?
Yep.
Sometimes these are the things that you end up learning more on the job itself, like on the go, when you actually take the action, right? I would say for me, it was getting to that point where I realized there was no more growth, no more challenge, no more fulfilling feeling, and every day sucked thereafter, because I knew my potential, I knew my skill set, I knew what I was capable of, yet I am corralled in this position where, it's like, look, is either you make the move or stay the same, make your choice.
Yeah.
It was that simple. It was literally, hey, you could stay here, a well-paid job and whatnot, and you could just decide to grow roots. The salary will keep increasing every couple of years or whatever. Fine, you could just, be that kind of person. Nothing is wrong with that. However, but if as the position no longer gave that space for me to feel like I'm doing anything, it's like, look, it is time to go. And a lot of people are in that position, I believe, very frustrated and considering it. But one of the most procrastinating factors there is on this planet is a well-paying job. that will make you reconsider doing anything that will jeopardize the lifestyle that so-called well-paying job is providing you at the moment. But what COVID has shown all of us is that there's no such thing as a secure job.
Yep.
All right. So that well-paying position you're holding on to may be yanked from you. And if you're not somebody that had probably 20 years plus service in a company, let's say like our telecommunication services company here, then you're not going to leave with that big of a paycheck going out. You'll be surprised, because I know a few people that became millionaires from some of these shutdowns, but people need to be aware that there's no perfect time. Just set your intention, make your plan, and go. So as we say, making a plan. One of the things I would tell anybody before you make that leap, and it's very serious because it involves finances. You're going to need some. Plain talk.
Yeah.
Before you go off on any venture, right? Or even to say you're changing, because unless you're changing from one job to the next, all right, so that salary is there. But if you're about to take the leap and start your own business, you're going to need some finances. All right. I would tell anybody, have at least, there's your savings, yes. All right. And there's your emergency fund, and you're trying to have at least 9 months to a year. and not of your not of your salary, but of your expenses. All right, because you may not be able to save your full salary or full year in a shorter period. However, as long as you know what your expenses are per month, you could actually set that aside and say, look, if anything happens, worst comes to worst, I'm not generating revenue right away or whatever, at least I know I have my expenses covered for the next 9 months to a year.
That's right.
So that is something we need to take a factor of before we make that leap. Do not decide to take the jump and hope you build the plane on the way down, because you'll build the plane, but you can't afford the fuel. If you don't have fuel for the plane, you're going to crash, right? Regardless. So you need that fuel. And right now, we know the fuel of most businesses, not most businesses, all business is revenue, all right? So you have to have finances set aside to make sure you're covered for a time period, all right? So what do you guys think is something that people need to be aware of, especially with that preparation to leave that they need to have?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head when they talk about the finance element of it. And just as a plug-in for those who are on YouTube, you can click on this link right here where we talk about the whole area of managing money. So you can look at one of our past episodes with respect to that. Yeah, Mike, I see us going on with a particular point there.
It's a bit tricky for me, I guess, because I think we need to also, people need to realize that sometimes we get excited by the prospect that is in front of us, right? The possibility of better, right? That's the number one thing, the low on the end of the hook, right? A lot of people get bitten by the possibility of freedom rather than the love for entrepreneurship.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And or they get pulled towards a title rather than the passion for the job. You know, so you move into a new position that you don't really like, but it pays more. And then you suffer for another year, 2 years, 3 years in that position because you really don't like the position, you don't like the job, but it's just because salary, you know? And I want people to be mindful that moving from money is not always the best move.
It's not.
It could seem immediately gratifying, but then suddenly realize you're feeling sick, you're feeling stressed out, you're not sleeping properly. It's not worth the money in the end. I've seen people who I have asked clients, they would switch jobs or switch positions, and in a new position have them spending the extra money they're making on medical bills.
Makes no
and
sense.
that kind of thing. It doesn't make sense, right? And it's because, other than just intention and these different things, also because they didn't understand the outcome of the switch now. They didn't think about, okay, when I make this leap, what am I really expecting to happen when I make the leap, right? If I look at entrepreneurship, for example, 90% of people who jump at entrepreneurship from a job to jump and to work for themselves, they have one main reason why. It's not money, it's what? Freedom.
You think it's freedom.
You can understand? And people don't realize that statement of freedom is down the road. It's not an immediate thing.
It's not.
And not only is it not an immediate thing, it depends on how you build your business.
True.
Right? I'll give you an example, right? For me, one of the last leaps I took was from just simply working in my business to now running my business on a different level. So I had to then, this is how I did it, right? I literally, within my business, I applied for the position, right?
Right.
Because I no longer wanted to just be a trainer, but I wanted to actually be able to step back and run my business a little different.
From in to on, from working in your business,
right,
working on your business, yes.
Correct.
But I had to also understand what would be required of me when I made that switch. And a lot of people say, well, because I want to be able to not be the labor force behind my business only. You understand? So that if I sick, my business stops for the day. That shouldn't be the case.
Correct.
But it takes certain things for that to happen. And I had to realize, okay, number one, am I willing to do those things? Number two, am I willing to stick to doing those things?
Correct.
Right? Number three, am I willing to deal with the circumstances and the consequences of making that switch? Right? So sometimes we say we're going to jump from our regular jobs to be an entrepreneur after 3 months of successfully selling something or doing a particular craft or working a particular thing. And you jump out and then you realize, hold on,
Hills and valleys.
I didn't check my finances properly because I don't know no more buffer salary, the home in place.
Correct.
You know? You didn't
Correct.
think about that. Or you jump out and you realize, okay, tell yourself, if I leave my job, tell me if you guys hear this before. If I leave my job, the time I'm working on my job right now, I can dedicate that towards my business and make twice the amount of money I'm making.
No.
Right? We always tell that story, and then after a week, you're sleeping late, right? You're on social media more than you're actually working on your business.
Yep.
Things are
It's a
slip.
lot,
You're knocking
lot more
about,
discipline.
and then you realize, wait now,
Where the time
I don't have
going?
any working hours, where the time gone, and so I think like understanding the outcome of a decision is vital. Like, okay, I made the leap, like Alistair said, and this is the funny thing, other people made the leap. They have the fuel, Alistair. They have the plane built, but they can't fly the plane.
They can't fly the plane.
They can't fly the plane.
That's not their rule.
You understand? They just say, oh, bam.
Yeah.
I
Or
don't know.
they jump into the parachute and they never get any instruction. They don't know which string to pull. They don't know what to do, and they just free falling.
Or
Let's
I think
not-
for me, when I first,
Let's not use the plane crash analogy. See that at like plane
yeah, I
crash.
realized that. Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
don't think about that. Then I went to
Yeah.
parachute after. I was like,
or even worse, some people pull the parachute and they still stand up on the ground. They ain't make the leap yet, and it's wind take them.
no, right? No, I've never made that same comment because I have a friend that I told him that literally this weekend gone here. I said, bro, you pull your parachute already while still standing on the edge of the cliff, and the breeze gonna pull you back. You're gonna
Pull you
pull you
back.
back some steps,
Boom.
right? I said, so what sense is that making? And a lot of
Exactly.
times we put ourselves in a position where we've been dragged backward instead of really using the air to glide forward. And it's because sometimes you don't really understand the outcome of a decision. One little decision, right, could change the whole course of your career, whether it be in a corporate field, whether it be in education, whether it be in your entrepreneurship position. Changing your major for education, that understanding the outcome of that alone is a big deal. Changing your title in your job. I remember when I was working before, I was like so excited for a position change, and then realize it meant that I'll not be managing my staff who I was friends with.
Right.
So now our whole relationship dynamic has a change. And I couldn't tell them where I go for lunch now because now I see the manager, how I go carry go on line with you. And people started to pull away from me. And I was like, but one to all you, and it wasn't me realizing that, but you asked for this though. This is what comes with what you asked for.
Well, that's not authoritative
So,
figure.
Correct.
exactly. So people make the leap, think about everything else except, okay, when I actually hit the air and I glide in, what next? Okay, I'm going to hit air currents, I'm going to hit this, I'm going to hit that. I didn't expect all this. Like, the outcome is really important, especially if you're successful.
Yeah.
The outcome is really important because most people do two things. They look at the best outcome and they look at the worst outcome. And they either say, well, this looking too dangerous, or they say, yeah, man, forget about the bad things. Let's go with the good. And,
And you'll get
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Two extremes.
So, understanding that is important.
But this is also where what you touched on there. This is why your intent is so important. Because if your intent is only to make money, you're gonna fold up real quick.
Oh yeah.
If your intent is just taking I go in and jump out, money go make boom bang bang, and I inside, you're wrong. Because every business person knows there are peaks and there are valleys. There are times when you sell, there are times when you don't. And you have to be prepared for those times. You know what I'm saying? You have to be willing to deal with the drought and understand when you have to shift or pivot and adapt to different things or introduce certain things or look back at your business and if you have to implement something new so that you could weather the storm. But as you rightfully said, you know what that is? That is when you actually, when your intent is only money, to me, to some extent, that is when you actually pull the parachute and don't jump. This is when you stand there and thinking, all right, I had the best intention for this, but the winds blow a next direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, Chris. There was a former coworker of mine selling like handbags and stuff, right?
Right.
And predominantly in the workplace.
Right.
So your market is where you work.
Where you work.
Right? And business going good, business legit, business pumping. You decide you're gonna leave, make a big investment, buy stock, and go out and sell. And by leaving, number one, you left your market.
Correct.
Right? Because most people buying from you, number one, because it's a co-worker, they know you, they trust you.
Yeah.
And number two, because they're accessible. Now you're no longer there. And without ever testing the market, you decide that from my little experience in this one spot, I know enough to go and sell in this big space. You know? And they made you leap. They made you leap. And I'm like, yo, that's courageous, but very stupid. Right? You know what I mean? Because you leave yourself up to so much a chance now.
Correct.
And again, that's like pulling your parachute while standing. Because you just set yourself back way back, because then you realize, okay, 2-3 months pass, you have all your stock in hand because there's nobody that's buying from you. There's nobody else in the market know you.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, you're brand new.
A lot of people do that right now because of COVID. They would have ventured into something, get called back out to work and not going back out to work.
And not go back out to work, yeah.
And not realizing that KFC open again, Royal Castle, Mario's, which you everywhere back open.
Yep.
So you have way more competition now. And the whole dynamic change a bit. So and I say they give it up, just understand.
Understand. And you touched on 2 points I actually have written down to get into when it comes to making this leap. Now, one that you mentioned, that people think when you're making that money, you could just leave and you'll make it the same way full time. Not realizing the certain level of discipline it takes when you're working on your own to actually do what you say you're going to do, because you're human. You're going to think, look, I want to get up a little later now. I don't want to get up early again to travel, so I'll get up later. Mistake. Try to keep the habit of getting up early. Believe you me, all right? It is hard when it is you switch that habit and to try to get it back, all right? But a key thing is, if you start your business on the side while you have a permanent job, one key indicator or one what's the word I'm looking for? One marker you can look at. When you make your full-time salary, right, consistently for 3 to 6 months on your part-time business, then you could consider it. Let me say that again. When you make your full-time salary on your day job, right, consistently for at least 3 to 6 months part-time, so that is separate, that's your side hustle, your side business. When you start making that consistently for at least 3 to 6 months, then you can consider, all right, I can now make the move because I have traction in whatever market I'm in.
Correct.
All right. So that's one. Still didn't say go full throttle yet, because remember, you're still making sure you have that savings and emergency plan of 9 months to a year of your expenses saved, right? Second thing is, a lot of people get into businesses without, or take the leap without checking to see if the market actually wants what they're selling. A lot of people don't do proper market research. They just believe because their 5 girlfriend, like they were the baggy person, whoever, somebody support them in one thing once, and you think that you are the guru in this now, and you just jump out and try. But does the market actually need what you're selling? Did you look at your competitors? Did you do what we would call a SWOT analysis? Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, these type of things. You need to actually sit down, look at the market, build your demographics, see who you are selling to, so you know where your revenue
and competing against.
From. Exactly. You need to do that, right? And not just believe, well, hey, because you see one person selling bath suits and it's selling, mean you go in and sell bath suits too and it go good. You know, it don't work like that. So you need to actually stop before you make that leap. Stop and do some market research. I am certain a lot of people have not, a lot of people do not, and then when they find 6 months in, a year in, they're struggling to gain traction. It's because the market isn't there that you thought was there. It's probably a lot smaller. You probably need to know where you're not sure where your your demographic is. So now you have to readjust your targeting and all these types of things.
True.
Now, it may sound like a lot what I'm saying here with readjusting targeting and stuff like that, but these are the things you learn when you see you do actually get into business fully. You have to know what your clients are. Otherwise,
Correct.
who are you selling to?
Yeah, one of the things that we had to look at as well for persons who are looking to make that leap and to make that jump, whether it's on the job, whether it's in the business, is to be able to seek counsel from reliable sources or mentors. The problem that is going, some people just want to go and check the do nothing friend to as a counsel to help them out with this. They never had personal experience, but they're willing to listen and agree with exactly what you're saying. So you decide that is counsel. But sometimes you need somebody or persons to really give it the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So you know exactly what decision to make. Let get the ugly truth sometimes. Because I believe that a lot of times persons want to just get a green light from the friend and call that counseling to move forward in the business or whatever the case may be, and not seek advice from someone who have gone down the road, whether bad or good or indifferent, to know, okay, this is something that you could do, this is something that you couldn't do, and learn from these experiences. I think that is something that is needed at times, especially if it is that you're going to make a jump. And please choose your mentors like how you just choose your fruit. You don't just go in a market and just say, hey, apples, and just start to scoop everything into a bag. People will examine the apple, make sure it's good, or check the bananas.
No
Make
basic apple.
No basic apple, no force ripe stuff. You understand? Examine all around it, looking good for me, but when they turn it over, it jacked up. You have to watch all of these things like that. So choose your mentors like how you just choose your fruits.
And please, as said by my fellow co-hosts and the fellas, that listen, your friend is not your therapist unless your friend is a therapist. All right? Listen, you hate
I like that one.
Yes.
You know, like on that point Alistair made with people around you and seeking counsel and whatever, you know, your environment is also very important when looking to take a leap. Huh?
That's right.
Your environment. My wife and I were having a discussion about potential the other night, and we were talking about the fact that so many of us will never, sadly, see our true potential.
You need to move.
And it's for different reasons. Some people are too comfortable to ever see the potential.
Yes.
Some people have been stuck in an environment. So if you look at certain fish, right? Oscars, for example, they grow based upon what you keep them into. So if you get a bigger container, they'll grow more.
Yeah.
And it takes them before they start about to grow, because when they get into the container, they have to readjust to the space and realize, hey, it has room to grow. And it's not something that they necessarily consciously do. It's the potential of their body to actually grow. So without realizing it, there's a change in environment initiates that change. Their body instinctively changes and adapts and then it grows. And for us, it's the same thing. And I was also talking just now about the people around you and your environment. And I would always say sometimes when you want to take a leap of faith, you have to replant yourself first. You have to be replanted.
Always.
Right? By that I mean, like, I would see my mom back in the day, and even now, she would put a plant in a particular pot for it to catch. Right? As you say, then she is for it to catch. Right? And then after the catch, then you replant it to either a bigger pot or you put it in the ground, the base upon the potential the plant to grow. A lot of times we are amongst people coming up in life that's simply meant to help us catch.
Right.
Right? That simply is just a space for you to catch yourself and realize, all right, cool. You know, I got feel, I got hang out good, I have a little support system, whatever. But to go to the next level, you need to be replanted. And I remember for me, like I was going to post a post today. There are a lot of people I wish I could have shared my current successes with. But I had to be replanted.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's tough to say, but I had to realize in life that there are many people who were part of my initial steps towards my success, but couldn't be part of my current because they are still in that same flower pot.
Correct.
right? They were just part of the soil that was there to help me grow, but they weren't really meant to go along with me on the journey.
Yep.
You
And
understand?
it'll be okay with that.
A lot of us dragging people along to either work with us on the business, that's the worst part, to give us guidance and support when they themselves not very positive about anything.
No.
To give us advice when they've never ever took a leap of faith themselves. And we look at them for support when they are envious of where we're going.
Quietly, yes.
You understand? So I'm really grateful now to be around people who either further ahead than myself and are leaving breadcrumbs to me, or people who are on the same level I am at and we're walking on the same road together. And in that way, and then I have people around me who I'm then mentoring to come forward. Every one of those people have a part to play in my growth. The ones at the top pulling me up, right? They're pulling me forward and showing me with the parts to take what to say from. The ones who are with me at my competition, they are actually helping me to compete and to push and be a little competitive, which is good. Which is good. And then the ones who I'm helping are helping me to remain humble because I understand where I was. But then two, they're not meant to drag me back because they're trying to move forward. You understand? So then we try to help people who don't want to move forward. Right? I'm talking about people who actually want to progress. So they try to take your example now. That actually makes you realize that you've gone from one place to the next. You know, when people asking you for advice, as simple as it may be, I always see it as the fact that I give you advice on that means that I actually have to overcome that too. So I'm moving forward now. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I think like what Alice was saying about people and right counsel, environment is like crazy important.
Yep. Always.
Because it can mess you up bad.
It does. And the two things is with choosing a mentor, one, always choose someone who has walked where you wanted to walk. That's one major thing. But the second thing is choose a mentor that at some point is willing to extend that rope to pull you up too. Because there are people who will gladly sit down and talk to you as a mentor, but they will not let you into the room.
Yeah.
And they are not really mentors. They are gatekeepers, right? That just dangling the stick with the carrot. And you have to be very wise because you will tell those people your ideas while you don't have the finances to do certain things. They do, and they will do it. So you have to be able to discern between who is a mentor and who is a gatekeeper. You got to be very careful with that. And then when it comes to your environment, listen, you see that direct circle of influence?
Yeah.
It is very real. And you have to know at times that you're going to have to leave these people out.
Correct.
And sometimes it's not even that you're leaving them out. The fact that you're growing, they just naturally fall off. And we all have to be okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
not
personal.
You're not dropping anybody. You are literally growing and they're going to just fall off.
Yeah.
You need to extend. And even with environment, something I've realized, because energy is such a crazy thing that people don't focus on energy, vibration, you know, that currency there when it comes to growth. Sometimes the physical place that you are, you need to leave. You cannot grow. Literally, as you mentioned with the changing of pots, think about it like that. There are some people that need to leave this country. There are some people that need to leave the area that they live. You know, in order for that energy and encouragement and vibe around them to change.
Even your friends and family sometimes, bro.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you live in a house where you're typical people who have a mindset that hey, let's be in this thing together. But you don't want to be in this thing, right? You don't want to be in this thing anymore. You want to move forward, and we get stuck because we want to be loyal now.
See, people is confused being family and blood with loyalty. Sometimes they don't work like that, right? And even staying with the talk of environment and those around you, you know, we often speak about being around like-minded individuals, right? And there's a lesson I learned. Well, I learned the lesson a while, but I didn't realize I learned the lesson until I heard somebody say it. You know, usually those things happen, right?
Yeah.
So we say we want to be around like-minded individuals, but a lot of us are not. We may be around people that are interested in certain things, but a like-minded individual also have like-minded results. So I cannot say I am around millionaires and we are like-minded because we have the same interests. We are not, because that person making $1 million a year, I am not. So we are not like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
And you're actually not going to be allowed into those spaces until your like-minded results matches theirs. And I learned this from a mentor I have. He's a land developer, very wealthy. And when it came to doing particular deals, and I would ask him, you know, would you be willing to come in XYZ amount? And he would just say no. Now, this is somebody who I've done business with them, seen their bank account, so I know what I'm asking for is pocket change, right? And he would tell me no. And I didn't get it for years until he saw where certain moves I was making was starting to match certain ranges of income. And then he would open the door. So remember, I said it with choosing a mentor. At some point, they have to be willing to hand you that rope, or else they're not, I wouldn't consider them a mentor. He, at certain point, will now say, okay, well, look, I can give you this contact, speak to that person and tell them I sent you. And I know once I say that, they are opening that door for me as well. So we may say we may be around, and we want to be around like-minded individuals, but that like-minded individual needs to be, you need to be generating like-minded results. So you want to be around millionaires, start to learn how to make $1 million in revenue. You want to be around billions, likewise. And that is something, it might be a hard pill for some people to swallow, but the truth is you're around people of similar interest. And that is the thing. So even when, okay, you want to make the leap, you're looking for people who have that same drive, same interest, same focus, same directive. Somebody who will say, hey, we could be competing, but rather collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, try to switch up these type of vocabulary, these words where we on an island, all right, one. So to me, it makes more sense to collaborate. Let's try to get a foothold in this, in the market, in the industry, whatever field you're in, over us going banter to banter. Come like all these brands, for example, like Caribbean Stag, it's made in the same place. But they're Carib drinkers and they're Stag drinkers who will clash. That one is better than the next, and this, that. I didn't know, right? But it's the same place, big, but guess what? They have that market hold though, of beer drinkers, right?
Yeah.
But it's one person. So those simple type of things that people need to look at, especially when it comes to, you know, we going into the new year, you want to make the leap, and you've been making your plans, you've been setting your intentions properly, you've been looking at, you know, doing your market research and who you want to build with, where your sales will be, and you're getting even clearer. Because I mean, those who haven't listened to the last episode, you can go back and, you know, check that out, so that could help you as well.
Right up here.
Creating your goals and whatnot to go forward. And now, you know, with that clarity and what we've been discussing tonight, you know, you should be a little bit closer to actually having that plane built when you jump. Right?
Exactly. And the thing is as well too, and it's really interesting, it just occurred to me now, I think we are speaking about it with respect to your career in terms of business as well. But sometimes you need to take a leap. Like I know this particular couple, they needed to take a leap with respect to moving out from the area where they were living, in terms of the culture, the environment, and everything like that. Yeah. And the neighbors that I had around there, they used to call them, well, ride or die. I'm a neighbor, I'm a horse, we stay in there, we good friends, all these things like that. Yeah. And when they made the announcement that, you know, we looking to move because our family expanding, whatever the case may be, and, you know, we asked for some help in terms of, you know, building the house and things. Not one of those neighbors helped. They said that they're too posh. They figured that the sniffing the high air, they're better than we. You know, all these kind of things like that. And that is when they realize who are your circle in terms of your environment and who will really help you out along the way. And as you rightfully say, there are people around you who are there for a season, and you have to understand, good, bad, or indifferent, they are there to help you. Even bad people around you help you to know, okay, this is what to avoid going forward when on my road to growth and development. So we just have to be really mindful of who we are dealing with. If we are dealing with do-nothing people, if we are dealing with anchors, or are we dealing with people who are true supports that will help you out. And sometimes these people just support you just for a short time, because sometimes things are just here on a shelf temporarily before moving somewhere else, and that is okay. We just have to be really cognizant of that and be able to distinguish that as best as possible. But you have to keep your eyes open, and you have to be able to be honest with yourself too with respect to that.
Simple,
yeah.
Agreed. So, I mean, we as always, we give people more than a mouthful, but a mindful. All right. Things I hope people have been taking notes. If not, don't worry. The live is available. Replay here on the Mantle Facebook page, and also it will be up on our YouTube page during the week. So, guys, just in wrapping up, I want you to share a little bit of your own experience in making that leap finally. And I don't want you to just say, well, what was the best thing, but I want you to say, what was the one thing that you didn't expect? I will start then. When it is I first decided not to, or I would say when I officially left my day job after how much years, because I worked my business on the side. When I officially say, well, I'm done, the first thing that came that was of relief to me was for my mental health. And that is because I no longer felt that I had to get up to go to somewhere I hated. I no longer felt that I was anchoring myself or losing part of myself. And I tell my wife this, I said, look, if I had to go back there, I really think I coming out of this alive, I fed up. I might go up to the roof. That thing don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's at some point, you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to be tired of being in a position where you know you are not supposed to be and make the move. And one thing I didn't expect, and I had to deal with on the fly, right? So take note, there is such a thing called taxes, all right, that you have to pay when you start your own business. All right, this is not something you learn in school, and they don't tell you this when you register your business either.
Two things that are sure, debt and taxes.
There are taxes. And I wasn't aware of that for the first 3 years of business, right? And thank God there was an amnesty. All right, so where I would have had to pay, I remember the number 4880. I remember that I would have had to pay $4,880 in taxes. Because of the amnesty, I only had to pay for the 3 months, which came back down to $120. Right? So, so understand, right? That it is serious. So when you're getting into business, I mean, make sure you have an accountant, someone who could give you certain advice on certain things. But that wasn't for me. One, I definitely had to get, my head right. My mental health was suffering going to that day job for sure. And yeah, dealing with taxes, man, that was real. That was real.
I think one of the things from my experience was again a job transition that I was going through at that time, and it was the job that I had was a high position. It was a managerial position actually, and honestly, it was a small company. The only person that I had to answer to was the general manager, and he owned the company. So really and truly, the only movement I had was I can't jump and own the company. So that was it right there. And I was given an opportunity to make a move, and I was doubting because as a manager here, if I go here, it's a step down in my career, what it is I had to do. But I took the leap because it was supposed to be a temporary 2-year contract, and I was leaving a permanent job to go for a 2-year contract. But I was glad I took the leap. I mean, people were angry. Well, people on that particular job was angry about making that move.
Yeah, that's that.
But I had zero regrets with respect to that, because that literally broadened my skill set in a great way within that 6 year, and it happened to move from a 6-month probation to a 6-year stint that I was there. That helped me to move on to something even greater because of that. So again, sometimes you need to make that step, and yes, it's uncomfortable, yes, it's uncharted territory, but you need to be able to make that step as well. And believe me, I asked for advice around the place and everything like that. But one thing I didn't do was stick. I say, look, make the move. The worst that could happen is I fall on my face. Hard. But at that time I was young, I was in my 20s, so yeah, make the move. And
that time. Man.
Yeah, I had no regrets in terms of making that move. So sometimes you need to maybe make that step, and yeah, you have the fear, but use the fear to propel you forward.
Yes, you use the darkness. I was born in the darkness. By the time you discovered the dark, it was my ally. Yeah, but it's true.
You're tempted to use my main voice, huh?
There's always the other side of fear. A lot of what we are trying to achieve lies on the other side of our fear. Mike, what about it for you?
Mm-hmm.
I think before I made my first leap, which was even more my corporate job, my dad told me something that I think any movie you're gonna make, that's a prayer about it. But I remember telling me that making a leap of faith could go wrong, right?
Okay, yeah.
Which was, honestly, it was one of the best pieces of advice, because it made me understand the reality of not just being a dreamer.
Yeah,
and not just looking for the best thing to happen, but understand that it could possibly not go the way you think it's gonna go. And I'll be honest, that first leap started off the way I wanted it to go, then didn't go the way I wanted it to go. You know what I mean? But like, I'll say recent times, my tolerance for risk is way different from I guess most people, because I've lived with it for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But even so, this last leap from the rebranding and changing how we approach our business and a lot of different things that we're doing currently, that leap took a lot more out of me than I thought it would have.
Right.
Mainly because it meant me, in a sense, detaching myself in some ways from the day-to-day of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And when you feel that you're so connected to something that you can't let it go, you need to ask yourself the question, okay, am I just living to work, or am I trying to build something here? And I had to, number one, figure out the intention of, okay, why am I doing it? Okay. Number two, what are the possible outcomes? And then after I jump, it's like, okay, I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't see the kind of hours, because, like, I think one of the biggest blessings to me has been that my wife and I are building together, so that I always have not just something to bounce stuff off of, but a balance in terms of my getting done now versus like do some research.
Mm-hmm.
Like having that balance was really helpful, because in the first instance, a lot of things I may have just jumped to,
right,
without thinking it over and analyzing it properly, and not delaying it, but just analyzing it properly. Because you ever reading something and you skim it over and you realize you read something totally different from what is being said.
You take a Photoshop in your head.
Yeah, and they're gone.
Yeah.
And I think when I made this last leap here, I didn't expect as much people to take notice of it as they did.
Right.
Because, and this is something most people don't understand when they get into entrepreneurship, that more people are looking at you than you think.
Oh yes.
True.
Oh yes.
And little moves and big moves are being noticed regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think that people would have paid attention as much as they did. but it brought on a lot more attention than we expected, because you tell yourself you're going to take it bit by bit, and then people are just like, we coming,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's important for us to understand that, like I said, more people are watching us than we think. Even when it comes to your job or your corporate life, switching positions, more people watching you on your job than you think.
Oh, yes.
You understand? So
True.
it's good to be mindful of that and not take for granted that somebody is keeping tabs on what you do and what
Yep.
you don't do.
Yeah.
And that was a big lesson for me, because it helped me to understand that, number one, my reach could be bigger.
Yeah.
But then number two, I need to scrutinize a lot more what I not just put out, but what I allow into my space to be more stuff.
Correct.
So yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't get much better than this, folks. That the leap of faith can go wrong.
That's true.
Understand that it is true. It doesn't always go as easily as planned, and it's just the reality of it. And as you always say here in the conversation, it's not about just giving you the bells and whistles and the sunshine and rainbows. It ain't all champagne and croissants. Sometimes it's lime juice and bread and cheese, and you had a grind.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Some
Right.
quicks.
Sometimes
Cricks and no
it's about-
water.
Sometimes it's cricks, exactly. With cricks with water. I know water thing, bro.
Cricks and spit.
At least have, gosh.
Suck on them biscuit, man. Suck on the biscuit, dog. Get it up with this spit.
The views of Makaya is not the views of
But I tell you this shit. I eat some dry cakes in my life, dog. With this, with
Yeah.
the choppination.
Yeah.
I eat some
yeah.
good dry cakes in my life. Some proper
People talk
multi-grain
about
dry
the
cakes.
people talk about the ramen diet while they're in school and them kind of thing. I wish if I had some old co-workers here, they would tell you, Chris used to sit down, everybody eating lunch with a pack of cricks. And he would the kitchen had tea, so I used to make a cup of tea and cricks for like 3 years. And people were like, why are you doing that? Because I saving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Bro,
People didn't understand that kind of grinding.
Yo,
Right?
I was always telling my wife, like, someday I'll give people an insight into so many things I have to do that sometimes you have to succumb to doing things because you're trying to build something. And you get somebody in the middle to ask yourself, why are you really doing
Why are you doing what?
Why I
Yeah,
put myself through this, money?
But something I actually heard, Vusi Timbukwayo, he mentioned today, we need to recognize there's a difference between enduring and suffering.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, right? There is a difference.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We need to recognize when we are enduring something, persevering and pushing through, and when we are suffering. We need to understand. And a lot of us, some of us would gladly say, you know what? Nah, man, I enduring this little time I'm going through. No.
Sufferation.
Yes.
Sufferation.
Fix that. After help something, you're suffering. You know what I mean? We need to stop that.
All right.
Indeed.
Oh,
But
if it's one thing I want to add to what we said tonight, don't be afraid to get help, right?
always. Yeah.
Sometimes pride is getting in the way
Oh, yeah.
of us getting a push. There are a lot of businesses around the world that were lucky to have somebody say, hey,
Correct.
hold that, do your thing. And a lot of times we this is not just for men, this is people in general, especially for strong-minded people, entrepreneurs, these kind of things.
Yep.
People who believe that I can make it and I want to do it on my own. Don't look at your first in the mouth.
Exactly.
Don't have somebody tell you, yo, what you need. And you be, no, well, yo, I had a scenario.
I good. I got this.
In about 10 years, I'm going to be in the right place.
Yep.
Go do that.
Exactly.
Understand that sometimes things come into our presence and our path for a reason. Analyze and look at it and then make a decision. And don't always be quick to say, we trust this person. Sometimes you have to understand that, like Alice said, people are in life for a purpose and a reason and a season.
Correct.
So you might come to help you out now, and that's all they come to do. After that, they're gone. But don't be afraid to get help, man. Don't let
Yeah,
it
don't
get
be
anywhere.
afraid. Agreed. Definitely. So
I do myself already. And
yeah, I think we all learned that lesson the hard way.
Oh,
You know what I
yes.
mean? But folks, this has been a very solid conversation, healthy conversation tonight. We do want to thank everybody that tuned in. As always, Miss Smith Simon in the crowd. All right, one of our
Hey.
top followers along with the Wilsons. All right, we see you guys. Thank you for coming joining us tonight. I also see you, Miss Shalana Smith, old co-worker. Thanks for checking out the show tonight as well. I really appreciate you guys supporting us. As you know, the year is wrapping up, and we do want to make sure that we give you
sir.
what you need, some information to go forward into 2022 prepared.
That's
All right.
right.
So, as always, guys, I don't know, any closing remarks? Are we good to go?
jump!
Yeah.
Jump!
Jump, yeah, that is it. Just jump.
Yeah, jump.
Yes, remember?
You see, now you're about to look for that tune to close off now.
And always remember, more than likely the best exit is sitting behind you. So understand that the light ship will
The light strip.
understand all the exit strategies, and hey, you jump in this way,
Yeah.
look around for close exit. More
Exit.
than likely
Click.
it's
Alright.
sitting behind you.
Indeed.
Your
indeed.
seatbelt works this way. Your oxygen mask, your
Yeah,
inflatable under the seat.
Everything. All the actions. Yeah.
Exactly. If you get into trouble, you pull it. If not, you had to take blow. Right. We know it.
Yeah.
We know it. We know it.
Yeah. We know it, man.
Proper.
All right. So folks, be sure to join us next week as we have a special guest joining us. All right.
Yes,
From the
sir.
health sector. All right. Because we know this is actually also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we want to make sure we have somebody inside to discuss that with us. But until then, please continue to adhere all COVID regulations, regardless if you're vaccinated or not. Continue to wear your mask, wash your hands, and practice social distancing. All right. So from the Mantle family, we will see you again next week. All right. Good night.
Same bad time,
See,
same
this
bad
is my
channel.
which is up in time for COVID.
All right, folks, be safe.
Be safe.
All right. Good
Heads
night.
up.